Hey guys, welcome to this video. In the past, people have seen me use some spawn scripts in my missions, and I have been asked quite a few times now to go and explain how I actually do this stuff, how I set stuff up. Unfortunately, for a while, it did happen that my scripts did not work at all with headless clients, but today I think that I fixed it. So here I am. I am on Altis. I have a very simple mission down. Got my player slots here. Got a checkpoint set up here with AI building slots, and I want to set it up in such a way where I, as a Zeus, do not have to spawn anything in here. That is in the main mission, but right now we're in the mission building stage. What you could do is you could place your AI down in the mission file and then do it with dynamic simulation. When you get close enough, all of the AI suddenly become active and such. I never like that method of doing it. Instead, I am going to play in multiplayer. Actually, yes. I'm going to play in multiplayer. I'm going to enter Zeus. Yes, player 1, that is me. And I'm going to spawn in the AI in multiplayer. And this is obviously in single player technically, run from Eden. So this gives me all of the opportunities and methods of making sure everything works, right? Now we just let it load, takes a minute. Don't worry about the error that Tifar just gave us. It's fine. So then we enter Zeus, which takes a minute. And we navigate over to our checkpoint. So for this I'm going to use the CIS from B1s.
Awaiting orders. Awaiting orders.
4 squads how to do it. I disable the pathing, and then I'm gonna garrison these. I have my own ways of doing stuff. As you can see, a lot of them have garrison displays. Maybe I can do it better. Teleport them out of it. Fill evenly, right? There we go. And then we delete those guys. These tanks we're going to let or leave empty. Technically, what I could do is I could also crew them, but I don't want to do that right now. Actually, I will do that in them right now. Oh. Didn't I set these guys to have the pathing disabled? AI be stupid sometimes. There. That is better when they are actually hostile or op 4, not blue 4, right? So I'm going to delete this vehicle in the mission file. I'm going to leave this one, or I'm going to delete it prematurely, so I don't accidentally copy it. Now I go to development tools to copy mission SKF. I say everything within 500 meters. I do not want to include anything like empty vehicles or objects. I only want to include AI. So that copies the AI inside of this place. Click OK. Ctrl Z, or Ctrl A, Ctrl C to select everything. And then we are going to a new script. And this is then the entire code that you get to see. Now this is a bit annoying in my opinion. So we want to go to our missions. Have to navigate to the right file. I'm gonna do a new folder in case we have multiple scripts of these. Checkpoint.sqf, and now it all looks like this, right? So considering it is only one squad, it's only one group, so I can do this. We have the AAT. Actually, no, there are two groups actually. Going to make sure that we have the both of the two groups set up. And now we see in this line, for example, we type, and now we go and paste in some nice code that we have, because we want to make sure that this unit, or these units, disable the path. I want to make sure that they stay upright, or stand up. And then I eventually want to add in a sleep, because I only want my unit to spawn every half of a second. And then we press that one, new unit, hit replace all, and now you see everything is a nice block of code, basically. Right, we are going to do the same thing with the tank, but for the tank we are only going to copy this line, do that. Tank, I think we want to raise up a little bit, so we set this to 18. Same with spawning it. Set it to 1, so it's above ground when you spawn it in, to make sure that the tank doesn't blow up. Now we have our script almost ready, but first we need to make sure that this script only runs once. So I do a trigger, and I have a variable that is basically a counter to see how many times the script has ran, and that should prevent it from running multiple times. So I'm going to set up a check. Checkpoint has ran less than twice. Oh, typing is difficult. And because I use the sleep, this has to run in a scheduled environment. So unfortunately that means I have to use spawn. Tap it twice, maybe 3 times. No, we want to do it once or twice. Accidentally selected the spawn line as well, so. And another one, like that. Then I go all the way down basically, and I close off my first. I close down the spawn part of the script, and now I say checkpoint is checkpoint plus whatever number. I keep it safe to plus 999, and now I say public variable to make sure that the value is streamed over the network. Now close it down. That is this script now set up. Then the tank will spawn as its own group, and then the 40 AI, or whatever, how many they may be, spawn as their own single group. So now what we are going to do is we are going to set up trigger in a mission, and we're going to set up an init.sqf, where in the init.sqf we are going to set up the following. CC, or CP rather, checkpoint is compile 3 row file spawns checkpoint sqf So then in the game we can just call for CP instead of this address. And we are going to save this as the init. No, I have to navigate back to the one mission. That's my init script now done. So we go back into the game. And now we are going to set up our trigger. Let's make our trigger 500 by 500 meters. I'm going to make it in such a way where it's like this. High, basically, make it a little bit lower so it extends well into the ground. Now we're going to set up the trigger to run on server only. We want to activate if only blue4 enters this area. And on this menu, on the activation field, we are going to add checkpoint. Yeah, it would help if I write it correctly. Checkpoint is 1. Rec2 is a bogus variable, so you don't have to worry about that too much. Remote exec CP a presenter, and that is what I set up. And now whenever I enter this trigger, that place will start spawning in. I'm quickly going to set up a Eclipse on this as well, so we know exactly where the trigger zone is at. Now we go play in actually, no, we're not going to play yet, because we have to remove that tank. Now we are going to play in multiplayer. I'm going to play as Zeus again. And it all looks like magic to you, I bet. Now we enter Zeus. And we navigate over to where we have our checkpoint. You can see no AI has spawned yet, but when I go over to this here, teleport myself in, and you see AI start spawning in. Tank is spawned in properly. One is still stupid. The other should have the pathing all disabled. This guy does not have his pathing disabled, and that is totally reasonable as well. Because if we take a look at the script, you will notice that this last guy has new group instead of new unit. So we have to make sure this last guy also is given this code. Basically, to explain what does this code do that we paste, this looks at the new unit. The new unit is the variable of the DBD CIS B1 unit AT. That's how we can target this unit. we say path is the feature, AI feature that we want to disable. We do a remoteExecCall, so this is executed everywhere. We say function that we want to use is disableAI. So we want to use the function disableAI on the unit with the value path, so it disables the pathing on the AI. We run it globally for all and every client, that is including the server, all headless clients and all players. Then of course we target the new unit, and that then disables the AI for every unit, regardless when the headless client takes over. That AI is already has their pathing disabled. Then the second bit of code that I do is I say up, that is a unit position, that makes it that the AI should stay standing up when they spawn in instead of laying on their stomach or being crouched and such. And in the end I run a sleep of half a second to make sure that this script that runs doesn't overflow or doesn't crash out the player base, because you can imagine that if I remove the sleep, all of those AI are going to spawn in the same tick. And when that happens, the game freezes. And that is a noticeable freeze that everyone will notice, especially if you are in combat, if anything else is going on. You don't want to run 40 lines of code in the same tick. So that's why it's set up in such a way where there's a sleep setup, and that's why you want to run in a scheduled environment, as you otherwise cannot pause the code from running. So if we save this now and we close the mission, we go back to the hidden editor and we open it up again, we will notice that that last guy doesn't run around anymore. This guy. But everyone else is standing just fine, and if you now run it on the server with headless client, the AI will still be standing still, they will not move. And that's all that I do to it, and you can basically set it up in multiple ways. Now we have it set up in such a way where there's only one trigger and you spawn in the checkpoint. But if you, for example, have a massive base and you have you need to spawn in 150 AI just for populating the walls, then you could maybe work with a script and multiple triggers where if you enter the biggest trigger with the biggest range, the biggest radius, then only the dudes on the wall start spawning in. And when you get closer, you start spawning in the guys inside the first section of the compound. And when you have entered the first section of the compound, you start spawning in the second section of the compound, and so forth, to really only keep the things occupied that are directly next to the players, but not too far away, and adding unnecessary load on your computer, on your server, on your headless clients, on your players' computers, keeping the frame rate up as much as possible. That is in the end the goal of using such a script over just spawning AI yourself, and that is to make it easy of use for the Zeuses, because if the Zeuses disconnect or you don't have any Zeuses, this will still run just fine, but also to improve the frame rate as much as possible. So yeah, that is the little explanation of how to do this stuff, with how to use this code. It's quite simple, but it can take a while to prep everything before the mission happens. But then you don't have any stress of it. You don't have to worry about fucking something up, for example, because you can go back in and you can change it out. But also, when you do use the stuff, make sure that you check it out. Make sure you test it out. Going into a mission with untested code is a recipe for disaster. So when you use this stuff, make sure you test it out. Make sure it works. Even I make mistakes. And if you have any suggestions about maybe you can change the code up in such a way to make it better, you're free to suggest anything, because this code is quite crude. I think there are now better ways of making sure that the code only runs once and stuff. but this is how I do it right now. So thank you for watching. Hope you find it useful. I will give you guys the script with just Legion Studios droids in a moment. I will put that in the description field of this video, and that's then how you guys can use this stuff for yourself.